Greetings. Frederick Riddle here with another Christian News and Views, and this is episode 225, and this is Monday. The one I want to talk about today is a thing involving, it always seems to revolve around Trump in some way or another, but this one here is a statement by Poland's foreign minister. He reminded Trump and the world that Russia could end war immediately just by honoring its own treaties. For the record, this is a quote here, for the record, since 1994, Ukraine has already had guarantees of independence and the inviolability of its borders, including from Russia. Moreover, on April 22nd, 2004, Vladimir Putin solemnly ratified the treaty on the Russian-Ukrainian border. All it takes is to respect them, and the war will be over. This comes after Trump claimed that Zelensky could end the war almost immediately by giving up Crimea and NATO aspirations. Sikorsky's message is clear. Ukraine doesn't need to surrender anything. What's needed is for Moscow to honor the promises it already signed. Promises Putin himself once ratified. This is probably the shortest article I've ever read on this program, anyhow. So I'm going to take a little bit of time here to expound on this, on why I think Putin doesn't honor these agreements. And I've come up with let's see how many I got here. I got 7 different reasons why he is not honoring him. So let's go through these. Number 1, reading the documents gives him a headache. Now, I get headaches from doing some things, especially if it's something that's mentally taxing. It can give me a headache. So it's possible that reading documents, he maybe has bad eyesight or something like this, and it's just very difficult for him to focus on these documents, to understand them, to read them, to understand them. Instead, he has this pounding headache that just will not go away. So the best way to handle that is to ignore the documents and the headaches go away. Very, very simple. That's number 1. Here is number 2. Remembering past agreements is too hard, especially when it doesn't agree with current agendas. So the best way to kind of understand this idea is that back when he made in 2004, when Putin signed that treaty, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he actually meant to keep it. There's some questions about that, but we'll just give him the benefit of the doubt for this. So at the time, I would guess, this is just a guess, that his agenda was to have some peace so that he can consolidate his situation there in Russia, to do whatever was needed for him to get stronger, to take over more and more and more, and to be the leader that he is today. And so his agenda then was, like I said, he needed the peace. His agenda has changed since then, and now his agenda is focused on land, and not just the minerals and stuff that's in the land, which he needs, but the land itself. He envisions the resurrection of the Soviet Union. Give you an idea of how this is that President Trump, when he has campaigned for presidency, whether the first term or second, it's always been to make America great again. And so that was Trump's, and millions of us signed on to that one. Well, it wasn't really a campaign promise or a message by Putin. It's his vision. And in his case, it's make the Soviet Union come alive again. He wants to undo history. and resurrect the old Soviet Union. That means bringing former territories back into his orbit. That would be Ukraine, but there's some other countries out there like Poland, and some there's quite a few actually when you tend to think of it, of what are now independent countries. And so if he gets Ukraine, shift to another one, then another one, another one. Eventually, his eyes are going to shift towards Europe if they haven't already. That's an expansionist agenda. And you don't want to get in the way, is what he's saying. Don't get in my way. Don't try to stop me. So he's got two different agendas, and they don't agree, the former and the current. And so that might be create a problem for him. When he looks at those agreements, those agreements are standing in his way. So the way to do that is to, I forgot about those. Well, oh, yeah, that's okay. They don't amount to anything anyhow. So he'll sign anything. Whether he lives up to it or not is another story. That's why I would warn President Trump about making any agreements with him without some kind of monitoring, some kind of mechanism that would enable them or us to monitor Russia, to make sure it's standing by whatever agreements it makes, and hold them accountable. But that's my second reason. Number three, people have been speculating about Putin's health for a long time. Is it possible he's got Alzheimer's? I've had to deal with it in my life. My mother-in-law had Alzheimer's. My brother-in-law had Parkinson's, which is different, but at the same time is similar in the fact that it can cause memory problems as well. And so I've had to deal with that. And so it's something that the world today is facing. And who knows? Maybe Putin has it and he simply doesn't remember. Although, to be honest with you, as I understand Alzheimer's, they usually remember the past better than they remember the present. So I don't know how that would work out with Putin, because all of his agreements that we were citing earlier are in the far past, the distant past. But that's a possibility. Number four, there are men who want his job just waiting for him to slip up. He's trying to keep them at bay. Now, this one is actually, while I'm doing this whole thing in sort of a sarcastic method, this one here has some weight to it, folks. There's got to be people there. Just logic tells you there's got to be people there who see what he's doing, and they know what the eventual result will be, and that would be the destruction of Russia. And so they're waiting for him to make a slip, and he's come very close to it. But so far they haven't had the courage, and at the same time, he may have an idea who some of them are. And if he gets his sights on you, well, you might as well start counting your days, because they're probably getting shorter. But that is one possibility. There are people out there. There's been speculation that there are these warlords, or whatever you want to call them, and who are in the background, and they kind of call a lot of shots. They're very, very powerful, and so powerful that for Putin to go after them would be very, very difficult. Now, if you shifted that over to the United States and you looked at Trump and his oppositions, he doesn't have that kind of power. He doesn't even have that kind of thinking. He goes after them. He uses the Constitution, and some people don't like the way he uses the Constitution, but he is using it rather than opposing it. He draws his authority from there, and it's been tested in court, and time after time he's been supported. There's been some times he's lost, but usually when he gets up to the higher court, which really has to look at the constitutional aspect more so than the lower courts do, they have supported him time and time again. Well, here in Russia, there is no restraint on Putin. And so whatever he imagines, who's going to stop him? There are these people in the background there that could possibly stop him. And he's trying to keep them off balance, trying to keep them at bay, whatever. That was number 4. Number 5, he believes that Zelensky doesn't like him and is trying to get him to change his mind. Now, I'm not sure why he would ever get a thought like that Zelensky doesn't like him. Zelensky probably thinks that he's a great person. I mean, how can you not like him? I mean, this guy goes around and he kills children and babies. He rapes women. Mothers are women, but also single women. Women have no children. He doesn't care. They're women. So like, he allows his people to rape them, beat them, and even kill them. So why would he believe that Zelensky, the president of the Ukraine, doesn't like him? So, and so he's thinking, well, I'm such a likable person. I'm going to try to get him to change his mind. Oh, I know how to do it. I'll invade his country. I'll kill his people. I'll continue to kill and rape and murder and ravage the country. That'll change his mind. Number 6, he believes his own propaganda. You ever heard the term, if you lie often enough, you will come to believe it yourself? I believe that's a term I've heard in the past. So propaganda quite often is a lie, or it's a truth that's expanded, exaggerated, boosted up. Not quite a lie, but he takes the truth and builds it up. But in his case, his propaganda is based on a lie. And so you could say in this case, propaganda and lie are the same thing because its foundation is a lie. We've already established that he made agreements. Russia made agreements, and he actually signed on some agreements in 2004. And to say those agreements are null and void is a lie. To say those agreements never happened is a lie. To say that he never signed them is a lie. So it's a lie that is undergirding his whole propaganda effort, trying to convince the West. And I think he's not so hard on it. Hasn't been that hard to convince his own people. However, because many of them share his desire to see the old Soviet Union's importance. They were an important country at the time, world class in the sense of their outreach, their influence and things of this nature. And so he hasn't had to really work with them. Now the people are starting to get tired and find out, hey, the Ukraine can reach us now wherever we happen to be living. They can come and they can kill us. So but he has been saying this so much that I think he's very possible that he has gotten to the point where he believes his own lies. And when you do that, that's very dangerous because not only are you lying to other people to get them to do what you want, you're lying to yourself. And so that alters your thinking, that alters your how you look at things, because now that's a fact to you. That's a belief. That's a truth. And you use that to build all your answers, all your responses. For instance, President Trump is trying to get him to agree to a ceasefire and actually to agree to a settlement with the Ukraine. But Putin, believing his own propaganda, both on how the war is going and everything else, when he works with or comes sits down at the same table with Trump, he's coming to him from within a vision, propaganda that is ultimately based on a lie. And so Trump had a disadvantage there. Trump is coming at him and saying, this has to go, this, you've been doing this, and this. And Putin said, oh, no, no, we're not doing that. That's what Ukraine's doing. And Putin, at this point, actually believes his own lies. That's number 6. Number 7, this one here is probably, you listen to this very carefully now. This is probably the correct one. Number 7, he's secretly a spy for America trying to undermine the Russian government. Now, before you break out in laughter and all that, just consider if he sends nukes against America, what happens to Russia? Or if he sends, for instance, he undermines the American government. The idea there is that he could say he undermines President Trump, discredits him, and Trump loses his influence and everything like that. Wouldn't that be a Russian goal? Any president, for that matter, he didn't actually treat Biden with respect, and so well, he didn't really deserve anything, but his whole approach has been one that has undermined his own government, not America. It's undermined Russia because if the Biden tried sanctions against him, and to some extent those actually are working, uh, especially since other countries are doing it too. But he has other sources which helps him bypass those sanctions. But he's had to maneuver here and here, and he's actually had to make agreements with China and North Korea. Now, we don't know what those are. Well, I don't know. Maybe our intelligence, American intelligence knows what he had to sell of Russia to get their cooperation. Well, he had to sell, give, or commit, submit, whatever. So everything he tries to do is literally has the potential of undermining his own government. So maybe, just maybe, he's secretly a CIA spy working to undermine his own government, bring it down, and then we, the American people, will have our dominance over the whole world. There you are. 7 reasons why Putin has not been able to remember, or actually, I should say, has not been able to honor his past agreements. Well, I hope I've tried to be entertaining today and give you some sarcastic and amusing explanations of Putin. The truth of the matter is, some people will say the truth of the matter is he's just pure evil. I'd take the word pure out because there's nothing pure about the man. But he's totally, to say that he is totally, absolutely evil, that might be the best explanation of all. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this. I have, today, I've tried to do a little bit of a light news reporting and opinion. I'm giving my opinion. The President Putin is a he's really a case. Hard to figure him out. And I don't know that he can figure him out, or the people who are around him anyhow can figure him out. And that is not, by the way, some of the things that I've said in there being humorous, there could be threads of truth there, especially about people who are in the government or outside the government, but have some great power, might be looking for an opportunity to remove him. And the way the war has gone from him, he had to really scratch and dig to find success. And he's a liar from the start. And so he uses lies and compounds them with further lies and covers those up with even further lies. And he tends to believe his own lies. And then you have people who are reporting to him are probably also lying to him. And so we'll just have to wait and see what happens here. I would not be surprised if he got overthrown, given an early retirement, so to speak. I don't know, from what I've understood, if it in the old days, in Soviet Union days, when you got a retirement plan, it was either you got like Khrushchev, he was removed and he retired to a villa. I think it was down in Crimea. Uh, some others have just, well, had an accident, passed away, something like that. They have a very permanent retirement plan, very few benefits. So somebody might decide to retire him. And be careful what you wish for here, folks. You could get somebody worse. That's hard to imagine, but you could. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this. And if you have not subscribed, then I encourage you to subscribe to my channel. And when you do, I try to inform you, encourage you, and inspire you. And I could add a fourth one in there, and in this case, entertain you. Well, have a great day, and I will see you in the next episode.